A community still reeling from a brutal attack. Outside the school where history teacher Samuel Paty worked, they came to pay their respects to the man who many still can't believe is gone.
Je me suis dit que je suis sortie des cours et 10 minutes après, il est mort.
C'était un homme discret, donc jamais il y a eu de choses polémiques sur lui.
The 47-year-old teacher was murdered on Friday after leaving school. The assailant was shot dead by police on the scene, and preliminary investigations have revealed more about the attacker. The 18-year-old was born in Moscow, was of Chechen origin, and was previously unknown to police anti-radicalization intelligence services. He had been granted refugee status in France and lived in Evreux in Normandy, almost 100 kilometers west of the crime scene. Police looking for a connection between the attacker and the victim have turned to social media. As part of a course on freedom of expression, Samuel Paty had recently shown the controversial cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad that had sparked the Charlie Hebdo attacks in 2015. Despite Paty offering Muslim pupils the chance to leave the classroom if they would be offended, threats had been made against him in the wake of the class.
On the evening of the 7th of October, the father of a pupil posted on Facebook a story about the viewing of a naked image of the Prophet and a call for protest against the teacher, with the aim of getting him sacked.
Multiple people have been detained, including the assailant's close family and the father who created the social media posts, among others. Investigations are still underway.
Yeah, that's
Well, there you have it, people. And this is Brother Jacob, and this is the False Prophet channel, where we get Islam exposed and the false prophet of Islam, Muhammad, exposed on a regular basis. That's right. For those who didn't know, the Muslims have striked again. This time, it happened in Paris, France. As you see, a school teacher was beheaded. His name was Samuel. I don't want to mispronounce his last name, but he was beheaded for the crime of, according to Islam, teaching his class about free speech. And the only thing he did was he showed a picture of a cartoon of Muhammad. And because of that, a Muslim, an Abdul, murdered him in cold blood like a savage killer, beheaded the man. And the man, or the animal, lower than an animal. I won't even disrespect animal nature like that. The demon who murdered this man, guess who he was inspired by? He was inspired by the teachings of Muhammad. And I have a hadith up on the screen right now that we're going to go into. And as you see, prescribed punishments. This is from their hadith. Chapter 2. The ruling regarding one who reviles the prophet. And you wonder why we do what we do. For the Muslims who want to know why we continue to speak out against Islam, they try to come up with names to call us. They call us Islamophobes. So now, Muslims, you call us Islamophobes as if, even if we're not afraid of Islam, but you call us Islamophobes. And even if someone was afraid of the teachings of Islam. This recent killing in France justifies anybody to look at Islam with detest, because Islam is a violent religion. It was spread by the sword. It's maintained by the sword. That's why they have the death penalty for apostasy. Because if it wasn't for the death penalty for apostasy, over half of people who practice Islam would not be Muslim today. So this religion deserves all of the ridicule that it receives. Islam is the only religion where it prescribes death if somebody leaves the religion. In 2020, there is no religion other than Islam that prescribes death for someone who leaves the religion. Islam is the only religion where the books of Islam prescribes death for anyone who speaks out against the satanic prophet of Islam. No other religion does that. You can talk about Buddha. Buddhists are not going to come out of the woodworks and decapitate you. Muslims talk about Christians. The Quran talks about Jesus. They call us kafirs. They call us pigs. They call us najas. They call us all types of names. They make Christians in majority Muslim countries, they make them pay the jizya, which is a humiliation tax. Even though we protect Muslim countries, when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, guess who saved the Muslim country of Kuwait? Guess who saved Saudi Arabia? Israel even defended Saudi Arabia and Kuwait from the evil regime of Saddam Hussein. Israel and the United States have provided Saudi Arabia with weapons. But even still, we have allowed Muslims to enter our countries as refugees, fleeing their own Islamic countries because they can't even trust each other. There's a verse in the Quran which allows Muslims to kill anyone who causes corruption in the land. As we saw Ali Dawah, like he said that Abdullah Samir, I don't know how many of you know about his YouTube channel. He even said apostate prophet. He said under a Islamic caliphate, he said, yes, they would be put to death for causing corruption in the land. So the Muslim world is divided amongst themselves. And even still, the West allows them into our countries. And what do? In return, they do exactly what happened in France. They beheaded a man. He wasn't threatening them. He didn't have no bombs strapped on his body. He wasn't walking up into the courtyard of Mecca where the Kaaba is. He wasn't threatening anybody. But to the Muslim, because they know they can't defend against what we say about Muhammad and their religion, they have to antagonize you, and they have to use fear tactics because that's all they have. When you don't have the truth and you operate with lies, then everything that you defend it's done in an evil manner because the religion is of Satan. They can't win an argument using the truth, so they have to use violence and lies. This is why I don't trust Muslims no further than I can see them. I don't believe anything they say. You can't trust a Muslim peace treaty because the Quran tells them that they have the right to kill you. It tells them that when they are the minority, that they should behave but hate you in their hearts. And when they become the majority, they're supposed to put you to death. That's Islam. ISIS is true Islam. That's Islam, people. What you saw carried out in Paris, France, this past Friday, and rest in peace to the man who was killed. What you saw carried out this past Friday was Islam, people. Make no mistakes about it. Irregardless of what these Muslim YouTube apologists say on YouTube, irregardless of what they're saying, actions speak louder than words. France has been the victim of terrorist attacks more than any other European country. Go research the past 5 years, even the past 10 years. Google the amount of terrorist attacks that's been taking place in France. This should serve as a reminder to anybody who has ever second-guessed Islam, and you've been listening to Muslims on the street telling you that Islam is the religion of peace. Only thing you got to do is look at the news reports. Actions speak louder than words. Islam is an evil, terrorist religion. And it's against freedom of speech. And that's what the subject matter of this video is about. The war versus Islam is imminent. It's on the horizon. The pressure in the pot is building up because the more of these Muslim immigrants, as their numbers increase in the free countries in the West, the demon, the devil, the teachings that's inside of them, as they see their numbers increase, and as they see the liberals making apologies for them, they're going to feel emboldened. They're going to feel like this is the work of Allah, allowing us to take over through lies, taqiyya, and deception. And that's why that Muslim, that Abdul, that demon who beheaded that man, that's why he felt like he could do it and get away with it. Because France is one of those European countries who have allowed liberals to dictate them. The liberals, the tree huggers. Oh, it's just, you can't talk about what someone believes in. Everybody, let me tell you something. What a person believes in their heart, it will manifest into real life. The Bible says, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. And eventually, you will act upon what's in your heart, and what's in your heart will trigger your emotions to do certain evil things. So it's not to be taken lightly. This Islam is a very, very cancerous ideology that's spreading. And it has seeped into the younger generations. They say the attacker was only 18 years old. So Islam has seeped to the younger generations. They say he was from Chechnya. That's a Muslim country. See, these Muslims, they tell us one thing out in the streets, but behind closed doors in their mosque, they saying something totally different. They are told to smile in your face and to curse you in their hearts. And whenever they get the chance and the opportunity, as you have just seen, they will strike against you. All over a stupid cartoon. All over a cartoon. But that's how petty these Muslims are. They low-class animals. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Anybody that's a Muslim, you support what happened in France. And you know why you support it? Because you don't tell it how it is. So these pacifist Muslims, these watered down Muslims, they help the illusion that Islam doesn't teach what it teaches. By them denying what it says, they are the ones who influence the liberals to tell us, oh, Islam doesn't teach that. And as you see, those liberals, because they control the media, they are the reason why these terrorist attacks keep happening. This is what happens when you try to assimilate a culture that's totally different from yours. They don't mix. Islam and democracy do not mix. It's like trying to mix oil and water. Islam cannot be reformed. Islam must be annihilated off of the surface of this planet. And if I was the president, if I was the president of France or the United States, I would enact policies where I would make any Muslim in this country or who was trying to come into this country, they would have to denounce the teachings of Muhammad when it comes to murder. And they will be heavily vetted. And if we found anybody in their family who was associated with a terrorist cell, I don't care if it was a third cousin, a distant cousin, they would not be allowed to enter this country. That's how strict you have to be on these Muslims. They should make a policy that Muslims should be under 24-hour surveillance. All of their telephone, international calls, and everything should be under heavy surveillance. Every time they pick up a phone, every text message they send, it should be reviewed under heavy surveillance. Because they operate in secrecy. You cannot trust them. We are at war with Islam, people. Wake up and smell the coffee. We are at war with Islam. Right now, you may think it's just an ideology, but it's more than that. If the Muslims had the means of enforcing their way of life, they would do it without any hesitation. They just don't have the military power. They've tried. ISIS tried, but they failed. They just don't have the means, so they have to practice taqiyya. They have to lie to you. And sadly, a lot of people have ate up the lies. And I don't want this video to go like 30 minutes, so let me read this hadith to you. This is Islam, what I'm about to read to you. Narrated Abdullah ibn Abbas. A blind man had a slave mother who used to abuse the Prophet and disparage him. He forbade her, but she did not stop. He rebuked her, but she did not give up her habit. One night she began to slander the Prophet and abuse him. So he took a dagger, placed it on her belly, pressed it, and killed her. A child who came between her legs was smeared with the blood that was there. When the morning came, the Prophet was informed about it. He assembled the people and said, I adjure by Allah, the man who has done this action, and I adjure him by my right to him that he should stand up. Jumping over the necks of the people and trembling, the man stood up. He sat before the Prophet and said, Messenger of Allah, I am her master. She used to abuse you and disparage you. I forbade her, but she did not stop. And I rebuked her, but she did not abandon her habit. I have 2 sons like pearls from her. Look at this. And she was my companion. Last night, she began to abuse and disparage you. So I took a dagger, put it on her belly, and pressed it till I killed her. Thereupon the Prophet said, Oh, be witness. No retaliation is payable for her blood. So as you see, Muhammad, he gave the okay for this murder. This man, nobody was even there to even, this is Islamic justice. The same stuff happened in Pakistan. They have blasphemy laws, right? Somebody can say, and it happens all the time, somebody can say such and such said something blasphemous about Muhammad, and then the people will take justice in their hands and they will do jungle justice. This is what I just read to you. This is jungle justice in Islam. And as you see, Muhammad, he gave it the green light. He said, you scot-free. You did the right thing. No retaliation against you. She was talking about me. She deserves to die. And that's the same. These are the teachings that inspired that demon to behead the teacher in France. Innocent. He didn't know he was going to die that day. He was in France. He wasn't under Sharia. He wasn't in a Muslim country. He was in a Western country. But thanks to the liberals, he may as well have been in a Sharia-controlled country. Thanks to the liberals, they have allowed the Muslims to infringe upon our rights. We can't do the reverse and go over to the Muslim countries and have our way. But sadly, because of the ignorance about Islam, people have a blind eye and a deaf ear to what's really taught to these Muslims. And that's why Brother Jacob do what he does. And that's why the Muslims are mad in the comment section, because they don't want the majority of us to wake up to what time it is. This is the reality of Islam. If you speak against Muhammad, you are condemned to death. And they can take matters in their own hand, even in your countries. This is Islam, people. So I want to leave y'all with this message. Wake up to what's going on. And this is Brother Jacob. And this is the False Prophet channel where we get Islam busted and the false prophet of Islam, Muhammad, busted on a regular basis. Make sure you share this video, subscribe to the channel, because this message need to be heard. And this is Brother Jacob signing out.